Okay, so this is a brief mini lesson to talk about strategies for facilitating and participating in fluid discussions, which we should take to mean as unawkward as possible. So, since this class is going to have a lot of discussions and all of them pretty much are going to be facilitated by you guys, the students, I put in here some strategies, some tips, some tricks for setting up a fluid discussion. And one of the first things that you can do if you are the person running the discussion, right? Everybody's going to take turns in their small groups running discussion. You want to use action words wherever and whenever you can, especially if you want your group to participate in a particular way. If you want them to describe an aspect of a text or compare two different texts, use those action words. Next, you want to emphasize evidence. This is one of my number one strategies as a teacher. When I facilitate discussions, I'm always guiding people back to the text, right? We can so easily kind of riff off on our own emotions and feelings and experiences. And there's a place to make those connections. But when we're discussing readings, like you guys are doing for these discussions, oftentimes, as the facilitator, it's important to ask for more evidence. Hey, can you provide a quote that supports that? Or where in the text did you find that? That way, people who are participating can be kind of following along with anyone who's commenting about any given piece. And then you want to intervene strategically, maybe even sporadically. You want to strike a healthy balance as the facilitator of a discussion between someone who's just letting it loose, which can devolve really quickly. You also don't want to be like excessively intervening, like answering every single question. You want to give the group time to breathe and give people a chance to respond without you, the facilitator, kind of jumping in with quote unquote the answer, which there aren't really very many of those, right? There is a strategy that I am pulling from a great website called The Cult of Pedagogy, and it's called TQE, which stands for Thoughts, Questions, and Epiphanies. But there's just some questions here that might be useful to you, right? You could start in this left-hand column with some initial prompts. And then as you continue to facilitate the discussion, you could ask questions like why or who, how, so, when was this said? Again, pointing to the text, what is your favorite quote, or getting to some of that meat. Now, if you're just participating in the discussion, if you're not the facilitator, there are still some strategies that you can use to help the conversation move smoothly. And over here in the left-hand column, you can see that I've sort of set up 4 different key moves: clarifying, agreeing, disagreeing, and building on. And then across the rows, if you will, there's little examples for each one of those. So to clarify somebody else's point is to make sure that you're getting it right before you respond, shoot it down, respond in a way that either could be negative or could just be getting it wrong. So clarifying is a really good way to keep a conversation respectful and healthy. You can agree and you can disagree, right? That's totally fair. Nobody has to be all on the same page. Life would be boring and some kind of post-apocalyptic novel, right? We just want to be able to agree and disagree respectfully and in a way that doesn't shut down conversation. So if you agree with someone, say, I agree, but say why. I agree with it because, or it was important because, always giving your reasons. And then if you disagree, there are ways to do it that are respectful and, again, don't shut down the conversation. So you could say things that we also have to consider, or you can agree with part of it but not all of it. You could bring in quotes. Either way, you're always wanting to give your reasons for either agreeing or disagreeing. And then finally, you could build on, which means one of your classmates in your group discussions could make a really fabulous point that you totally agree with, but maybe you want to say more. So do that. You can build on and say, yes, I agree with what so-and-so said, and I just want to add on to that. It's interesting because, right, you can kind of keep the ball rolling in these key ways. So overall, we just want to make sure that when we are participating in discussion, especially since we are in an online course, we want to make sure that we have in mind what our goals are. Now, my kid is in 2nd grade this year, and she's doing virtual learning from home, but on her playground, there's a bunch of these like weird pit things, and I guess it's for a game called Gaga Ball. I never knew about this until I had a child in elementary school. Maybe you guys have played Gaga Ball. I don't know. It just makes me think of Lady Gaga and makes me want to sing songs, but I won't do that here. Apparently, Gaga Ball is this game you play. You're in this pit. It's basically like dodgeball, but everybody's trying to work together to get people out until you're the last man standing. And they're tossing the ball back and forth within this small space. Now, do you see where my metaphor is coming in? Our class discussions are like a game of Gaga Ball. We want to keep tossing the ball. We want to keep moving. We don't want to let it go stale or stagnant. We are always participating, right? Right. Or you could say, we want our course discussions to be like a beautiful web with the sun shining on it. But do you see how all the threads are intersecting and they all work together to hold up this beautiful structure? We want our course discussions to have lots of intersections where a lot of folks can talk to each other. We don't just want like a one-on-one discussion between one person and the discussion facilitator. We want the whole group to be working together. Or you could say we want our course discussions to be like an awesome round of double dutch where everybody is participating and working together to create something really fluid and cool. Whatever metaphor works best for you, I just love that these guys are like totally jamming in this double dutch game right now. Let's all work together. You know what I'm saying? We're going to work together to create fluid discussions, keep these metaphors of the Gaga Ball, the web, and the double dutch in your mind as you are both facilitating discussions and participating in them. Okay, that's all for this mini lesson. Bye, everybody.